Foodie Italian Cooking, where you see cooking from my point of view. Today, we're gonna make something that's a little bit lower calorie, a little bit lighter fare. It's a spin on a traditional Italian piccata. What we're gonna make is a pork medallion piccata. This is something real quick to make. You can do it through the week. Doesn't take much time at all. So let's get started.
We're going to take a look real quick at the ingredients for our Weight Watcher Pork Medallion Piccata. We've got about 1 pound of a pork tenderloin. Now, I bought a 2.5 pound pork tenderloin in a long package, so I just cut that in half. When I unpackaged the half, the tenderloin is actually in 2 pieces, but it's about 1 pound of pork total there. We also have, of course, salt and pepper, and we're going to have a little bit of olive oil as well. It's not here in the shop, but we'll use the olive oil when we brown these. Got a couple tablespoons of butter, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, about a tablespoon of capers, 1 lemon, 1 cup of low sodium chicken broth, and some flour for dredging. First thing we're going to do, we're going to put some salt and pepper in our flour so that when we dredge our pork, it's going to be infused with a little bit of flavor. So probably going to use about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and probably about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I am using some sea salt here. Then we'll take our flour and kind of just take a fork, whisk that salt and pepper around in the flour. All right, so now we've got that ready. I'm going to move a few other things here just a little bit. Our pork medallions. Now these are only going to cook 1.5 minutes per side, so these need to be pretty thin to make sure they get done clear through. You definitely don't want to be eating undercooked pork. So we want to get about 10 to 12 pieces out of this pork loin. So we're going to go for somewhere between 1/4, if you hear the cat wants out really bad and I don't want to mess with him. He doesn't need to go outside. So we're going between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick for our medallions. So we're just going to slice this entire pork loin. And the reason I'm doing a Weight Watcher recipe tonight is, well, I need to lose a little bit of weight. The wife and I have decided that we are going to lose some weight. She is on her way home. I just happened to get home a little bit early from my last meeting today. So I thought, let's set up at least 1 camera and record this episode. So I'm just going to keep going through and slicing these pork tenderloins into little medallions. So I've got all my pork cut into little medallions here. Got some little end pieces and some fat. We're just going to get rid of that. I've thrown those in the trash. Going to have to take a quick break to sterilize my hands. So next step, we're going to dredge these little pork medallions in some flour, and I've got the good china, the styrofoam plates here to put it on. So I'm just going to go, and we don't want to put a lot of flour on these, because again, this is a Weight Watcher recipe. That's good. Shake off your excess. We're going to do this with all of our wonderful pork medallions. I just happened to get a really thin pork tenderloin at the store. You know, the packaging on these things can be a little deceptive, because you look at a pork tenderloin, that thing looked like it was that big round. I thought, oh man, that's going to be perfect. Perfect for this recipe. And then when you get it home and you open the package, I just cut the package in 2, because I only needed about 1 pound. And lo and behold, in that package were 2 little thin pork tenderloins stuck together in that same package. But that's okay. We make do. As a home cook, you make do with what you got. Yeah, I could have ran out and tried to find another pork tenderloin, but I thought, I bought it, I'm going to use it, and it's going to work fine. It's just me and the wife at home tonight, and quite honestly, there's enough pork here, enough pork tenderloins where we're going to be full and have some nice leftovers to take for lunch tomorrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this all finished up, and then we will reposition over at the stove for the next step in our Weight Watcher Pork Medallion Piccata. I'm repositioned over my stove. What I've got is my pan. I'm using a non-stick pan. Got my heat on medium high.
I'm going to use a couple tablespoons of olive oil here. We'll call it 2 tablespoons. That's about right. Keep my olive oil nice and close in case I need a little bit more. You want your olive oil to get a little bit hot on this. Now, these pork medallions, they are very lean. Not a lot of fat in a pork tenderloin, so you cannot overcook it or you're making shoe leather. Can't undercook pork because that's not real good for you. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our oil good and hot here, and we're going to cook these for 1.5 minutes each side, 90 seconds each side. All right, I feel like my oil's getting good and hot. So what I'm going to do here now, I'm just going to do a round of pork medallion. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Get these in here real quick. Don't want them to touch. Don't want them to overlap. We're going to do these in batches. All right, first batch is in. These go 90 seconds. While I'm waiting on this first batch of pork medallions to get done, we have to get our broth ready. Now, keep in mind, this is a Weight Watcher version of the kind of a chicken piccata, but we're doing a pork piccata. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the juice of 1 lemon. So it's time, my timer just went off for our pork medallions while we're doing this, so I'm going to go ahead and flip those. They're looking real good. These go for about another 90 seconds. So now I've got juice from half of a lemon. I want to get the juice from a full lemon. My juicer is not really big enough here, so what we're going to do is kind of squeeze it through just to pick up any seeds. Alright, so I've got that now with my chicken broth. 1 cup of chicken broth, juice from 1 lemon. The last thing we're going to do is whisk in 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, our thickening agent. I'm not going to do that until I'm ready to use these pork medallions, or until I'm ready for that step. So we're going to let these pork medallions go in just a few more seconds. So our first batch of pork medallions is done. You can see they've got some good color on them here. You do not want to overcook these little boys because they will turn into shoe leather. Get that first batch out. Second batch in. Squeeze in this one. All right, 90 seconds. Okay, our second batch of pork medallions. Time to flip these because the first side is done. Adjust my heat just a little bit. They're looking good. We got a few little brown bits here in the bottom of the pan, and that's perfect. Those are flavor. Take me down to Flavor Town. All right. Got these bad boys flipped. 90 more seconds. So our second batch of pork medallions is done. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit just while I get this pork out of here. Now, our chicken broth and lemon juice. I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Go ahead and scrape out all the little bits of cornstarch. We're going to whisk this together. Got my little fancy schmancy little whisk. This goes in the pan. Turn my heat back up. That's the sound we want to hear. That nice simmer. Do you hear that? Ooh, love it, love it, love it. We're going to give this a quick stir. We want to get these brown bits off the bottom of our pan. Now this is a non-stick pan. It doesn't take a lot to get those off. Use a wooden spoon, regardless of the pan you use. This is going to thicken up pretty quick. So now what I'm going to do is put my pork medallions back in. Slide those bad boys back in here. This is going to cook. This is going to cook for 1 minute. We want this to simmer away for 1 minute. It's only been about 30 seconds. I'm going to give this a quick stir. This is really starting to thicken up. We've got to let this go for just another couple seconds here. I'd say that's good. I've kind of tried to, I want to keep these coated really well. We're going to go ahead and turn off our heat. Next step. 2 tablespoons of butter. We're going to melt this in. Just put this right in there. We want this to melt right into our dish. Just get it under that, get it down in that broth. Let it start melting. Break it up. At the same time, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of capers. These are drained and rinsed capers. Give us a nice little smash of briny goodness. Let's stir this around. Let that butter melt. You know, Grant, this is a Weight Watcher recipe, but we're still using butter. It's critical that you use real butter. Real butter has healthy fats. Margarine, terrible for you. If you have margarine in your fridge, here's the best thing to do with it. Throw it in the trash. This dish is done. It's ready to plate. I've plated up a few of my pork medallions. Boy, they smell great. I'll tell you, I tasted the broth while I was plating them up. Pretty darn good stuff. Let's give these a try here. You can smell that lemon coming through.
It's good.
I would say winter, winter chicken dinner, but this is pork. So it's a winter, winter piggy dinner. And this is a great, great dish. Love it. You don't really miss out a lot with this being a quote-unquote Weight Watcher version. There's really not a lot of difference from this in a normal chicken piccata or a pork piccata dish, but I love this. I love the flavor. Lemon livens it up. That chicken stock gives it a good richness. The butter just enhances. The butter is a flavor enhancer. Those little flavor molecules adhere to the fat molecules. That's outstanding. Now, Weight Watcher points. You get 4 pork slices, which for this would probably be about 6 because they're so small. And that's for 4 Weight Watcher smart points. Can't beat that. Give you a good protein to go with your meal. I'm hungry. Garage door's going up. That means the wife just got here. Brussels sprouts are ready to come out. Thank you so much for watching POV Italian Cooking. Don't forget to follow me on all the major social media platforms. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, while it's still here, Tumblr, but absolutely most important, click the subscribe button in YouTube and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of POV Italian Cooking. And also, if you have a Roku streaming device, download my POV Italian Cooking channel and watch a few videos. Thank you so much again. Can't wait to see you next time. Ciao.